right? Let me see a quick show of hands. How many of you all have already had your high school course in economics?
If I'm taking it.
Okay. How many of you are currently taking it? So have had it or are currently taking it. How many have never had any economics? Okay, turns out to be the majority. What we're going to do today is we are going to do probably what we're going to do in 1 hour, what of course your teacher is going to spend weeks on, because he or she is going to go into a lot more detail than I'm going to go into. I'm going to do the big picture and try to get you all to a point where you can see some really, really fascinating things about the way the world operates. First of all, let's think about prices. Economics is done by all of us literally every single day. You come to school, I noticed several of you all are drinking Dasani water, someone's got a breakfast from Chick-fil-A. I saw in my previous class someone had a coffee cup from one of the coffee sellers. And we all have these different things. Every single day we're out in the market buying something, right? So we're all consumers every single day, day after day after day. And it gets to be such a routine, most of us don't realize what a humongous concept that we're all participating in. Because like the famous, the metaphor about fish, do fish even know what water is? If you live your whole life in the water and you've never been able to get outside the water, do you even realize there is such a thing as air? Fish probably don't even think about it, right? That's the only thing they know, it's the only thing they can understand because they're in it. Tying into what the English professor was talking about, you have to be an outsider in order to see what the group is up to, because the folks in the group are so enmeshed in it, they don't realize there is anything outside the group. So what we're going to try to do is, while we have to live in our economy every single day, we want to intellectually take ourselves outside of it and watch ourselves and watch other people and their behavior and try to figure out, is there any pattern to it all? Am I just one weird person that's got my own little ways of doing things? Or am I part of a much, much, much bigger concept? Well, I've said it all, try to make it sound quite impressive like the English people do. Let's get down to our nuts and bolts. We got to get, economics loves to work through its nuts and bolts because we don't think you can really understand the big picture until you understand all the little nuts and bolt parts. Okay, let's take a look at some behavior. Any of you all getting hungry? Yeah. Now let's think about food. We're doing, we could make a market for anything, but we're going to do market for food. Let's do hamburgers. This is one of my favorite. What's that?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A would be better. Okay. So let's say market for chicken sandwich. Okay. So here we're going to have ourselves a market. Now we're going to describe these markets by drawing graphs of them. Down here we have quantity on the x-axis. Over here we have price on the y-axis. And what we're going to try and do is come up with a theory that describes not just your individual reaction, but it's essentially going to describe the reaction of everyone on Earth. And to tie back into our English professor, if we went to the Congo and we're selling chicken sandwiches, would they behave the same way that we do? And we're going to find out that, well, I'm going to try and prove the answer will be yes. Well, let's see. You make your own decision whether it's yes or no. Let's consider two different prices for a chicken sandwich. $5 and $1. Let's put one in the middle. How about $2.50? Picture a particular chicken sandwich, not a low-quality McDonald's chicken sandwich for $1 and a high-quality Chick-fil-A for $5. No, we're talking about the same chicken sandwich, okay? Not different prices for different qualities. This is the market for a chicken sandwich of Chick-fil-A quality. Okay? That's what I want you to think about. But these are different prices that could be sold at. Now, what can we predict with almost absolute certainty about human nature? If the price was only $1, how many do you think they'd sell? A lot or a little? A lot. So just find a dot somewhere out here. I'm going to call it A. And you notice on a graph, all a dot is what? A connection of whatever's over on the y-axis with whatever's on the x-axis. Let's make this number 500. So, the franchises here in the Kennesaw area, if the price was $1, would be selling 500 of these sandwiches per day. Now, charge $2.50 for the exact same sandwich. What can you predict with absolute certainty will happen to sales? Stay the same, go up, go down? Let's just, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to label it B, and let's make this 200 and make this $2.50. And then again, speeding things up, raise the price to 5, what happens to sales again? Go down again. So now we have point C. Point C, let's say, has 75. Okay? Now, I'm making up the numbers. We don't know what they really will be until you actually go out there and do it. Is there any way you can just simply look at any of these people and know whether, do you like Chick-fil-A sandwiches? Do you like Chick-fil-A? Is there anyone here who doesn't shop at Chick-fil-A? Who looks at Chick-fil-A, you're not all that impressed with it? Can you tell by looking at this lady that she doesn't like them, or if she hadn't told you she didn't? So that's the really interesting thing about economics. We all know what's true about all of us in general, right? But we don't know what's true about any specific individual person. And neither does the owner of the Chick-fil-A sandwich chain, right? He can look out at this whole area and hope that you all feel the same way. But one thing we can predict with absolute certainty is, if you raise the price on whatever this desirable thing is, you'll sell fewer and fewer of them. Because even the folks who like them, this young lady here in front said she did like them, would you, if just for the sandwich, not the Coke and the fries also, just the sandwich is $5, would you be eating at Chick-fil-A today? No. How about if it was $1, would you?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not an absolute like or dislike, right? It's not like, I absolutely have to have this, I'm so in love with it. It's not like insulin for a diabetic. That was brought up in the previous hour when I did this talk. I had a student brought up a discussion about insulin. That is one of those exceptions to the rules, right? That is something for which you are medically required to have it. If you don't have it, you are going to probably end up dying. Clearly, that would not be what we're describing. We're talking about ordinary goods for which it's easy to come up with substitutes. Now, I presume for you, what would you do instead of going to Chick-fil-A? Would you just go hungry? Would you starve yourself today? What would you do instead?
Probably go like McDonald's with
Okay. But what would happen if the price for Chick-fil-A fell to $1? Would you still go to McDonald's, or would you decide to go to Chick-fil-A at that point?
Chick-fil-A.
Okay. So every one of us can substitute back and forth between different goods and services based on the price and also our own internal desires. But they interact in a very reliable way. Now, let's go to the Congo. This is where I wanted to head with this. Again, pick up with our English professor. If we were in the Congo and you found a bunch of people who like chicken sandwiches and presented them with these prices, would they behave the same way you do? At very low prices, would more of them want the sandwich? At very high prices, would fewer of them want the sandwich? No reason to believe it would be any different, because what's driving this? It's human nature, right? We're not talking about something that's part of well, the actual liking of the Chick-fil-A sandwich might be part of American culture, but in the Congo, whatever those people like to eat, does anyone know what do the folks in the Congo eat? What's that? Maybe they do. But I bet you they eat chicken, because chicken is one of those almost universal things. Virtually everywhere in the world, chicken is eaten. So they may not do it in a Chick-fil-A sandwich, but there's going to be something that they're eating for which, if the price was low, they'd want more of it. If the price was high, they'd find other substitutes for it. Okay, let's go ahead and connect this up now with a software. My hard work's not great. Let's see, so we can connect this up with a software. It's supposed to be a line. And this line is the demand curve. Now, a demand curve is really just how many dots are on this curve.